got you 1 sec.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm gonna go ahead and advertise. Oh, got advertise. So many things I have to advertise in here. Here we go. Thankfully, I already had it prepped. There it is. Boom.
Ready to die.
Yes. Everyone dies tonight.
Volume sounds good.
Awesome. Perfect. Let me just pull up I want to pull up chat on my phone.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. I want to pull up chat. Oh god, I can hear that. Okay, cool.
Well, you didn't believe us?
No, I was just putting my chat up. Okay, cool. So, previously on Curse of Strahd, the party had been making their way to the city of Vallaki when they all met a raven sitting atop a windmill that befriended Lilia after she gave him some food. Shortly after that, you arrived in the city of Vallaki, where you learned of some bones that had been stolen from the Church of Saint Andrel, and you got a tip that the bones were perhaps being held by the coffin shop owner in the coffin shop in town. There, instead, you found 6 vampire spawn, or rather, Caspin found 6 vampire spawn, and a large citywide battle ensued. The vampire spawn cut through dozens of guards like hot knives through butter, and the normal humans didn't stand a chance thanks to the vampires' regenerative powers and supernatural strength. Even the captain of the guard, Izek Strasny, powerful as he is with his demonic arm that produced this searing green flame from it, and even along with the help from our heroes, he nearly perished in the clutches of one of the said vampire spawn as it nearly sucked all the life from him. Meanwhile, halfway during this large battle, the party noticed from a distance that there was a large swarm of bats approaching the city, and eventually decided that it was bad news to stay here and that you had to run. Strahd himself was not far behind the bats, riding atop his flying steed, whose hooves and mane were wreathed in flames as it flew through the air at a very, very fast speed. Lilia, meanwhile, stayed back and attempted to serve as a distraction to give her friends an opportunity to escape. And most of them did, with a very weakened, exhausted, and beaten Orath carrying young Arabelle on his back as far away as he could and as fast as he could. The rest of his friends were not far behind, save for Lilia and Caspin. Ezek, who had no qualms at all with leaving Lilia to die at the hands of the vampires, seeking to preserve his own life, ran away. Meanwhile, Lilia confronted all the vampire spawn and the vampire lord himself, and even managed to remain strong-willed as he tried to take control of her with his vampiric magic. But she was having none of it, and instead spit in his face in anger. The surprised vampire lord grinned wickedly at her resistance, then punched her in the face with a supernatural speed. Caspin caught the glimpse of this from a distance as she fell to the ground, and decided it was best to make himself hidden and to try to make it back to his friends. And that's where we pick up tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys can see, but that's my current view in the Degenerates chat.
Oh. Oh, it's just a black map? Oh, because you guys are not on the map anymore.
Good luck.
Yes. So, the current scene is Orath, basically everyone except for Caspin right now. All of you are running on foot through the streets of this city. You see coming, barreling towards you at a rapid pace is a wagon with 2 draft horses, 2 gray horses being pulled, and sitting atop in the sort of rider's chair is Rictavio, sort of whipping the horses quickly in your direction. Orath, you are still carrying young Arabelle on your shoulders, and you're just heading towards him. Meanwhile, Caspin, you made a stealth roll last session.
No if it was good enough, so...
No, you don't, and you won't know. So
I'm
basically,
aware of that.
you think you're being hidden. You're making yourself small in the bushes and whatnot, trying to get away as fast as you can. But you do notice that as Lilia spits in Strahd's face, that with this supernatural speed that you can barely even like keep up with it with your vision, he just clocks her right in the face, and she falls to the ground with a thud. It's hard to make out from where you are because there's so many things. There's so many things happening in the city right now. There's swarms of bats. There's all kinds of people screaming in the streets. There's fires burning. There's smoke billowing. It's happening very, very quickly. But you still manage to hide as best as you can. The last thing you see as you're running away is the vampire lord lifting up your fallen comrade and placing her atop the back of his steed. You think for a moment. I'd like you to make a perception check.
All right.
Real quick.
Roll skill check. And perception. I get to re-roll that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's right. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay.
So
Yeah, you don't see anything else, and you just make your way as fast as you can towards your friends. The rest of you, meanwhile, eventually meet with Rictavio, and he hurriedly says, "Come with me if you want to live. Get in the back of the wagon now. We don't have much time."
I love it.
Jump in.
I assume everyone jumps in.
I assume I'm not there yet.
I can't.
F.
Rocks, jump in.
Let me get right on that.
You'll have to toss me.
All right.
We're tossing Gorman? Okay, let's toss him. Oh, wait, Captain, I mean?
He turns to
No.
Rictavio says, "Where's the little one?"
Little.
Little one? Question mark.
He's talking about Caspin. Caspin's a halfling.
Oh, he's over there with Strahd.
Thanks.
Oh dear.
Lilia, over there with Strahd as well.
At that point, he notices that Caspin is on his way off in the distance. He says, "We cannot wait too long. It seems for the time being that he is not being pursued. Let's give him a moment to get here, and then we'll get out of here as fast as we can. This city is in trouble, but I do not believe he aims to terrorize it. At least not today."
So, do I? I'm assuming I can see them and I'm running for them.
Yes, you are. And eventually you do catch up with them. Your breath heavy. And they pull you up. They help you up onto the back of the wagon. And you all just begin rushing out of the city as fast as you can. There are no guards left at the gates at all. The place is still in absolute chaos as you make your way out of the city. And it is at that moment that you notice that you begin making your way out of the city, and you notice that the sort of the city of Vallaki begins to get further and further in the distance as the horses take you away from the city, and you notice that it's still swarming with bats from above. The road is deathly quiet, save for the sounds of the horses' hooves clattering as they pull this wagon that you all find yourselves in. In this moment, as you are tired, exhausted, and beaten, you can't help but to recall the memories of your friend Lilia. Best, you recall how the two of you were partners in crime together in Waterdeep, and that she was the closest thing that you had to a best friend in a long time. Orman, you recall all your business dealings with her, that she helped make you a lot of money. All of you recall how she protected you from the wolves that night before being transported into this place by the mists. She broke the beasts with her powerful fists alone. You all recall how she pulverized the armored statue in that terrible nightmare house. You recall how she locked some of you in a broom closet. You recall the time she died trying to fight that monstrous creature in the basement, and you recall her eerie rise from the grave. You recall how she repeatedly fought beside all of you against the demons and monsters of this terrible land. And you recall the happier moments, how she liked to drink and laugh, how she had a good heart and wanted to save the children of Vallaki, and finally, how she fell in battle attempting to secure your escape, which she did. What do you do?
Octavio, I don't know if she was dead or not, so it's very possible our location might be compromised.
Well, the place we are going will hopefully help against that. There's a wizard's tower near the Lake Baratok. There's a small passageway to it, and it is shielded by an anti-magic field. It will be difficult for him to use his magic to find us there. He says as you're rushing through.
Being silent.
Yeah.
I start just rubbing my thumb on the top of the deck that Lalia now used to play.
Why are you so quiet?
I have you jacked up to like 150%. You're quiet still.
I'm gonna turn him up. Is it Egg or Yuki? Oh, it's Egg. Okay, there we go.
It's egg.
Cool.
Oh, is this better?
It's a little
Not really.
better. It's
Not really.
a tiny bit
Not really.
better.
Not really.
Yeah, dude, I have you at 187 and you still sound like you're like a mile away.
I love this. Hold up.
Oh god, now he's gonna boom on my end. Oh, hold on. Time out.
I'm not gonna go from like 1 to 100.
Okay.
Mexicali Rose.
Gives me the power
Of sight beyond sight.
yes.
I was thinking, I have the power.
How does this sound?
About the same.
Still the same.
Yeah. I love it.
Anyway, while he's fixing that, what are the rest of you all doing? And
Orm's just staring at the ground. Silent.
Orath is just, if Arabelle seems distraught or anything, just making sure that he's okay.
Alright. You eventually... Best will start feeling the top of the deck of his cards that Lalia used to play with a lot, and his leg is sort of shaking as he does so, seemingly anxious as he realizes what has just happened. Eventually, you begin to approach this tower that Rictavio has spoken of. The woods have basically swallowed up the road that once led to the tower, and now there's just a wide dirt trail that remains. You come to a cold mountain lake enclosed by misty woods and rocky bluffs. Thick fog creeps across the dark, still waters of the lake, and the trail ends at a grass-covered causeway that stretches about 100 yards across the lake to a flat, marshy island with this stone tower on it. The tower is old and decrepit, with collapsing scaffolds clinging to one side where a large gash has split the wall. There are these time-worn griffin statues with their wings and flanks covered with moss, perching atop the buttresses that support the walls. Parked near the base of the tower, within sight of the entrance, is a barrel-topped wagon spattered with mud. It is at this moment that Rictavio stops the wagon, and he says, "This is our destination."
The heck was that?
Okay. So be prepared. I'm about to boost the microphone, and it doesn't let me do it in decibels of 1.
Okay.
So
Taking off my
how does
headphones.
how does this sound?
So it's
Like you're sitting in front of a fan.
Yeah.
Awesome, amazing. I love fucking boosting microphones.
oh, that was a little better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Let's-
that was
Yeah.
good.
That was good.
So like,
yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
30 decibel boost, baby.
Yes, and yeah. Let me just move you all to this map real quick, so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me move all your tokens actually.
Yeah, please. I'm getting tired of looking at this vampire that's staring me down.
You also notice that you're not really alone in this wagon, along
Oh,
with
shit, we're in Skyrim.
Rictavia.
Finally awake.
Lilia, can you describe what
I don't
they
think it's
see?
Lively anymore.
It's not Lilia, but we'll get there.
It is. Okay.
It's lowly.
Hi, my name is Lilia. Again.
You see
Lively
a,
is
a sleepy-looking, ashen-colored lion.
Yes. Underneath underneath some of the blankets and whatnot that are in this wagon that you thought were just supplies, you notice there was actually a sleeping lion buried under all that stuff.
we all failed our perception checks.
Yes.
I mean, Caspin's been beaten half to death, so I'm not surprised.
That's a
Holy
lion.
shit, a lion?
I recall a
That's a-
saber-toothed tiger. I do not recall this beast.
By the way, Perry, I'm not on that screen either.
Yeah, I'm putting you guys there now.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure.
Are
if
we
you were
like?
moved yet.
Are we in the wagon? Is Rictavio at the helm? Like, can we yell at Rictavio? Like,
Yes, you are currently. Sorry, I was just moving you guys. All right, you guys are currently in the wagon. You've just made it to basically. There's a lake, and then there's like this thin walkway that's about 100 yards, and you're at the edge of the lake at the wagon, and you see in the distance this tower that you're gonna have to cross this sort of bridge, this land bridge, to this island about 100 yards into the lake. And so you're just parked right there in the front of that land bridge on the wagon right now. And it's at that moment that, as you're all hopping out of the wagon, when you see this creature, this animal, laying down in the back of the wagon.
Rictavio, do you have a new pet?
Ah, yes, this is a friend of mine. She helped get me out of a bad spot earlier when you all sort of left me out in the night. But, Oleana, come out. I think I pronounced that right.
The plan.
Oleana?
Turns out-
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Ileana?
Oleana.
Oleana.
Oh, Leon.
Turns out there were vampires spawned in town. Who knew, hey?
Made everything so much better.
Oh, what was that?
Oh, Lena.
Oleana? Got it.
Oh, Leon.
Or Oleana? Oleana. Yeah, Oleana, that's what I thought.
Oh, Mandy.
Okay.
You came. Sorry.
She had found me as I was being attacked by some direwolf. You could say that Muffins and I were in dire straits had she not showed up.
Hold up, muffins?
Yes. The tiger.
Oh.
Oh my
Ask.
god. I love that that's the name.
Muffins died, by the way.
Aw.
Rest in peace, muffins.
Yes.
It didn't strike me as a muffins though.
Well, she was really sweet when you got to know her.
Aspen just
So it's
shakes
too
his head.
distracted by the Vistani corpses. Well, anyways, Oleana, nice to meet you. Thank you for helping out our friend.
She'll shift back to human form, just sort of bow.
Wasn't expecting that.
Do you,
Interesting.
what does Oleana look like?
Describe.
What does she
Um,
look like?
The picture, the token is actually really close to how I was picturing her. She's just very dark clothes, long, dark, shaggy looking hair. Not really kept.
Would what would I need a roll to figure out, like, general background of like these
Um,
or like would my knowledge of well
just make a just make a intelligence check. Just straight
whoops,
intelligence.
ignore that. That was a frostbite macro.
That's frostbite, bro.
Thanks, man.
I freeze her to death. Okay. You get the sense from looking at her that based off of her skin color and her eyes, these like dark eyes, and her dark hair, that she is actually a Shatterkai, a dusk elf, one of the same types of people that Casimir was. But she's a woman, and you had heard from Casimir that all the women were killed by Strahd.
Okay. Well, I keep that information myself.
Okay.
Well, nice to meet you, Oleana, sorry.
Likewise.
I turn to Rictavio and say, "All right, where to?"
Well, we're gonna have to find a way to that tower over there and find a way in. We're not going to be able to use magic once we get near it, so.
That's fine. I'm running on empty as it is, anyways.
But it should serve as a hopefully safe place for us to spend the evening. Now, shall we get going? And he sort of motions to the walkway. And yep, as you do begin making your way down this sort of 100-yard sort of bridge to the place, you notice that as soon as you get to the other side in front of the tower, that there is a wagon parked in front. And I'm just going to post a picture of... Oh, I can't show that picture. Oh my goodness. All right, never mind. I won't show a picture. It looks like the wagon on the map. You see, under layers of mud, this wagon sports a fresh coat of purple paint, and its wheels have a fancy gold trim. There's a brass lantern that hangs from each corner, and red drapes cover a tombstone-shaped window on each side. There's a steel padlock that secures the back door of the wagon, hanging from which is a cheap-looking wooden sign that reads, "Keep out."
Is this yours, Rictavio?
He shakes his head. No.
Do you know who it belongs to?
No. Perhaps we should investigate it. Not it.
Yeah, sure, because keep out always means look right away. Why not?
Perception. Okay. You're looking at just around the wagon just to see if you can see anything, Eliana?
Yep.
All right. You don't immediately notice anything off with this wagon. With that roll.
Is anyone in there?
You get no response. You do see that there's just that the windows on each side, but you can't really see through them. And then there's there's that door with the padlock as well. You see that like the wagon would normally have horses in front of it that would pull it, but there are no horses there right now. So either the horses left or something. You're not sure.
Well, someone want to go up and knock?
Did we get a short rest on the way here?
Sure.
Sweet. I will definitely heal then. Let's see.
Feel free to use your
I
hit
also get
dice.
I also get my channel divinity back then.
Also, Caspin, I don't know why your health keeps resetting on your token.
I don't know either.
We're gonna have to figure that out. But it seems like a lot of people's are. I don't know.
Whatever. I think I can just set mine.
I was at 5, I remember.
I was at 18, as I recall.
I didn't get
Oh,
hit at
there we
all.
go.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Let's do this.
I'll use 2 of my dice. Why not?
Send 6 more vampires. Well, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
Okay.
2d8s for my cleric, plus 1 each. Oh, good.
Good.
Well, you know what? That's not bad, I guess. That's average.
Yes.
I get max of 1.
You only have 1 constitution?
I only have 1 constitution.
Okay, just want to make sure.
F. All right.
I am not a very physically built character. I went with
That's
the
right.
opposite of what a normal cleric is. I think that puts me up to max, though, because I think my max is 28. Yeah, max is 28. So yeah, I'm at max right now. Oh, but my total went down because of those strength. What was it at? I'm gonna assume it was like 22 or something like that. That sounds about right. I think it went down 6 total health.
Oh yeah, I had to remember that too.
And we'll say 20. I can't remember exactly. So I shouldn't have used any healing dice, damn it. Oh well.
You don't have to. It's fine.
Well, I'll use 1. I still get channel divinity back though.
Yep.
I don't get anything back. I'm still stuck here.
You do get your bardic dice back.
I was gonna say, do you get your bardic dice?
I need
Best.
to reach level something. But
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
I might be level 5, I think.
I did not know that. It's good to know.
let me just make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's like level 5 or 6 feet
Okay.
for bars. And I didn't get hit at all, so.
How the hell did you not get hit in all of that?
I was hidden in the back for most of it, just going, fuck you, bitch.
You also see that sort of at the base of the tower, that there's a tower door made of iron with no visible handles or hinges. Doesn't seem like there's any way to open this door. But in the middle of the door is a large embossed symbol with a connected series of lines with 8 stick figures around it. And carved into the lintel above the door is just one word, and that word is Kazan. I'll just type it in chat so that you can see the word. But that's the word. And I'm just going to show you a picture of what this door kind of looks like. So the wagon is sort of parked out in front of this tower, and then that's the door to the tower. Sort of a little bit ahead of it.
How did you come across this tower, by the way, Victavio?
I've passed through this land many times before, and I've seen it. I've also read and heard about it. I don't typically go anywhere that I believe will be dangerous until I learn as much as I can about that place. It was rumored that this place was built by a wizard by the name of Kazan, and that he perished a long, long time ago. He built this using some of the secrets that he found in the Amber Temple, or so it is rumored. but it is very well known, at least in the books that I read, that this tower has some sort of anti-magical field around it. I had hoped it would be good to stay away from Strahd's divination magics.
I can definitely help.
Yeah, that would make
Perhaps
sense.
this carriage belongs to another one of such knowledge. Perhaps another wizard.
Perhaps.
I'd be careful.
Caspa's gonna go ahead and try to cast guidance on, I guess, yeah, let's do Orath.
Okay. Orath, you are being guided by...
And do we want to check the
I'm trying to see if magic
wagon
is
first?
working. I'm trying to see if magic is working here, so I was trying to see if my
Oh, from your distance right now? Yes, it's working.
oh, okay, so it's actually in the tower that we wouldn't. Okay.
Well, it could just be something that stops magic like divination, I believe. Not necessarily all magic. It'd be poor taste of a wizard to not be able to use magic in his own home.
Depends on the type of magic. Well,
And
shall we?
also, you know, it could be based out of survival.
Is this something I would know about?
The magic stuff?
Well, yeah, like
No.
the history of it.
Nope.
Well, shall we knock?
There's no harm in.
Actually, you know what? Since you've been here for a while, make a history check. Liana. It's gonna take some getting used to. There's a lot of O's in this party now.
Liloliana.
Yeah, you don't know.
I just learned how to pronounce Lilia.
Exactly. Yeah.
I still couldn't.
Ulina.
Caspa's gonna roll his eyes and walk up to the door and try knocking on it.
The door to the tower.
Yeah.
Okay. Make a dexterity saving throw.
Son of a bitch. I knew it.
Suddenly he is.
Okay. As you go to knock on the door, you notice that the entire tower suddenly becomes wreathed with lightning. As you've seemingly done something wrong, and a jolt of it launches out at you. You manage to take a step back, but you still get hit by half the damage. You take 11 points of lightning damage.
Oh, Jesus.
As the lightning courses through you, and you guys just watch as Caspian just falls on his ass and gets knocked back a few feet from the door from all the lightning.
Oh my god.
And the tower is continuing to stay, like, it is now lit up with lightning. The whole tower, just all the way up.
Okay, so Ormond says Kazan. Does anything happen?
No.
Rip.
So Sam.
Make an intelligence check, Orman, since you're a wizard.
Oh yeah.
All right, so that's
You, from that roll, you're still a wizard. You get the sense that this is a puzzle of some sort, and that maybe the symbol on the door has something to do. There's some, you know that, like, you wizards like your riddles and shit. So maybe, but you're just having trouble figuring it out.
Okay, so it's probably something to do with the medallion on the door, right? So,
You guys can see the handout I gave you, right? You can also zoom in. You can make the image bigger, just so you know. I'm putting it on stream so the stream can see.
So are we in like an open field area right now?
It's like a small island in the middle of this lake. And the lake is sort of very dark and still and cold, and there's like a mist sort of
I forgot
blanketing
we
the
had
top.
fucking what's your face with us.
Yes, Arabelle is
I was
there.
like counting. I'm like, wait, we only have like 7
Oh.
people right now.
Yeah. I should actually put her on the map too, BRB. Go get her.
Okay.
Get everyone to
So
do that
with
for me.
that, we should probably.
It looks like a type of dance.
Casper
I don't
just
know
stands
if
up
it's
and
a dance.
dusts himself off.
Or I suppose what you spellcasters do.
With
Some
our
addicts, what's it
hands.
called?
I assure you, I don't do anything like that.
If it's a dance that it wants, I can give it a dance. I can move my hips and I can move my hands like no one else.
You know what? Go ahead,
So-
give it a try.
Huh. So I think we should all stand in a circle, but I don't know what to make of this pattern.
Well, there's 2 ends to this line. Is it not reasonable to assume it's an order?
Yeah, we could
In
start
order-
on one end and then
It basically looks like 8 stick figures connected with this series of lines, and there are 2 endpoints.
just do the dance from one end to the other end.
Oh, see, I didn't see. I just saw. I didn't zoom in. Okay.
I'm not dancing.
Now I understand why. All right, for the dance.
We can
I'm like, wait, what? Okay, so I think we should all stand in a circle here. And
So we all do the Manderville Mambo.
yeah, exactly. Do the Manderville Mambo. But no, I think we need to put our arms up in this pattern.
That doesn't make much sense to me because we need an 8th person then.
Yeah, we have 8 people.
Well, wouldn't the wizard only need 1 person to do this then?
No, or maybe.
Maybe you just have to do it in a certain order. Hence the dance.
But by my count, we have 7 people.
All right, we have Rictavio, and I always forget the girl's name. What's the small girl's name?
Arabelle.
Arabelle. So that's 8.
I'll let you see her. Can you see her nameplate at all or no? Yeah, I'll let you see her name so it's easier.
Well, there's us 5, Arabelle,
There's
and
us-
Rictavio, so 7.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at Perry's nameplate, thinking that.
Perry, why can't you be a player too?
Perry, you're at the north part here. You're okay. Everyone, clock positions.
DM, do the dance.
All right, let me put myself on the field if you really want me there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna.
Strahd.
Yeah, exactly.
ahead.
So if that's
Go ahead
the
and do
case,
it.
then
Let me do the dance.
Orman will do the dance.
Okay.
So starting. So 2 arms up, right arm up, left. I'm not gonna go.
Okay, yeah, got you. When you do that, you do the whole dance as best as you can, following the line, and the lightning that's wreathing the tower completely stops, and the door swings open on its rusty hinges. It kind of creaks as it opens up.
Wizards.
Orman shrugs, and Orman shrugs, and before he walks in, he does detect magic to see if there's any other traps.
Oh, best one, the dance.
Oh,
Why didn't you say it instead of posting
I
it?
was trying to say it, so you kept talking over me.
Sorry.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
What would you like to do? Sorry, I missed
Detect
it.
magic.
Detect magic.
All right. When you detect, so where are you right now?
I'm standing in front of the door.
It doesn't work. Your magic, you can't use magic. You're like, what the fuck?
Okay. Oh, right. The cone thing. Looks like we're gonna have to do this old-fashioned way.
That's fine. As I said, I'm out of spells anyways. Caspin pulls his crossbow out and loads it.
I'll put a hand on Caspin and use 5 points of lay on hands on him.
Where are you standing?
He's still back here, so I'm assuming back here.
Okay, it works.
I got thrown back. Remember?
Yep, it works. The magic works. You're healed for 5 hit points.
Technically, lay on hands isn't magic.
Doesn't matter.
way. I think I've used up all my luck. I'm not going first.
I will go first. The guy who has no perception skills. Let's go.
To be fair, I did get a perception check on that trap.
you go in front of me, and I'll be right behind you, and I'll be keeping an eye out for you, buddy.
All right. So when you enter, or you're entering the door, I'm guessing? Okay. So when you enter the door, you notice that beyond the door is a 5-foot square vestibule with a tattered curtain that conceals some area. You also see in the first floor of this place, that there's a flagstone floor strewn with debris, and there's a few old crates that stand near the east wall. There's a torn curtain to the south, partially obscuring the vestibule, and then there's a 5-foot square indentation in the center of the floor that contains 4 pulleys attached to these iron chains that stretch up through a similarly sized square hole in this rotted wooden ceiling. Standing next to the chains are 4 tall clay statues.
So far, our coast is clear, but careful about touching anything. I say as I step to the side when I enter in.
I'll keep an eye out for traps as I stay behind the little boras.
All right, make a perception check. All right. You don't notice any immediate traps as you stay back, but you do make note of the fact that this building looks really old and rickety. And you're like, man, looks like a stiff breeze could knock this, this thing over.
This brick, you said?
It's just the tower itself looks really old and worn. Like as you look up, it looks like some of the wood is rotted and all this stuff. Oliena, what are you?
I was just searching the inside.
Okay. You search the inside. You search the crates that are nearby. They don't appear to have anything in them. They seem empty. And you look around, you look at these sort of 4 statues, but there doesn't seem to be anything that's catching your eye that's too different with them.
We're all going to die.
Would I have to, investigate the statue?
You can try to investigate the statue, yes. Make an investigation check.
Oh, that's where Komet is. He just straight up disappeared, but he's just right there.
And also, I'd like... Where's Ormond right now? And Caspin, where are you two?
I guess I'm following close behind.
Yeah, I'd be close. I'd probably be behind Best.
Okay, so you're in the tower though, and you see these. Okay, so I'd like the 2 of you to make Arcana checks.
Okay.
Since you 2 are the whatever, and Oliena, you notice that the way that these guys are positioned almost seems like their purpose is to pull these chains and sort of raise the platform up and down.
Can I do an Arcana check? I'm a magic user now.
Go for it.
I mean, I'm a magic user too, but I ain't
Ha!
smart though.
Not really, apparently.
You can too, actually, since you're a bard. Best.
I'm actually trained in Arcana though, so there.
Fuck yeah, bud. Let's do this shit. Best Arcana roll of all time.
Oh my god! If he rolls like, oh my fucking god! All right. Okay. So.
I quit.
Yeah, Best. You're like, oh, I know what these things are. These are clay golems. You love clay golems. Clay golems are your favorite thing in the world. Like you studied clay golems in college. Like you know everything about them.
Masters in clay gold.
You have a master's in clay golems. In fact, they look like this. You know they look like. Yeah. You notice that despite being made from humble materials like clay, they possess this astonishing power and durability. You love them. They feel no pain. They feel no remorse. They're unstoppable. They always follow their creator's orders. They obey everything.
That's why I love them, because they just keep doing whatever you tell them to do. Like
Yes.
you said, don't piss them off.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Step off the middle, if you would. Is there like a platform right there right now, or is it
No one has said they stepped on it yet.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and say ascend.
Nothing
See if
happens.
anything happens.
Nothing happens yet. But Best, there's more to know. Best, you know that clay golems are, they absorb acid, that they can go berserk when attacked. You know that you cannot use any spell that would alter its form against it, and that they have resistance against magic, and that their own attacks are considered magical. You also know that they, when angered, can use a spell to go very, very fast, a haste spell. Yeah, so, yeah, that's what you know about clay golems.
Considering our current state of, well, everything, you probably like, nah.
Yeah.
Do anything that may trigger these things.
Yes. And so you say ascend, Orath, and then what else did you want to do?
Try descend. I'm not sure if there's maybe a platform already up there or not.
That does not work either.
Assuming there'd be some kind of code word.
So what, is there like a little button in front of me in the center of the room?
Not that you see. The platform is already on the ground, by the way.
Well, I'm gonna step on it.
You step on it?
Yeah.
Okay. The platform, the clay golems begin to pull the chains when you step on and you guys watch as this platform begins rising slowly, and it's jerking as it's moving up. It's not a smooth ride, but you watch as Best sort of begins ascending in front of you. What do you do?
If anyone asks, we told him to do that.
Oh, this is kind of cool.
Yep. So you guys watch as Best slowly creaks up on this platform. You guys are just watching him go up. Does anyone do anything to stop this? Or
Nope.
Okay, cool. All right, you make it to the second floor, Best. And when you are sort of approaching the second floor, you notice that there are dust and cobwebs that fill this room. And you notice that it's pretty much an empty room. Let me move you to it. Let me just so you can see. The platform sort of stops right there. And it's basically just an empty room. There's a 5-foot square hole in the ceiling where the platform could continue, and there's also chains that continue up as well. You do notice that the wooden floor is badly rotted and partially collapsed around the center where you are. So you'd have to like jump a little bit to get to the floor.
Well, did you say that the platform stops?
Yeah, it stops for just a moment, just enough time to give you, but it begins to start moving a little bit.
Okay, does it start descending or?
It's still ascending.
Okay, I'll stay on it.
Okay. It continues to the third floor now, where you see that this one is even worse looking than the second floor. And it looks like both the time and the elements have all but destroyed this chamber. There's a gash in the northwest wall and this slimy looking mildew on the walls as well. The wooden floor is completely rotted away here and has begun falling away to pieces. There's still more. It's still going up.
I take note of this decrepit place and
Continue up.
yeah, continue on up.
All right.
Safe on jumping off because this looks like it's a collapse.
When you get to the top, you notice that on the fourth floor here, that unlike the levels below, this room shows signs of recent habitation. And although the place reeks of mold and mildew, it has plenty of creature comforts, including a cozy bed, a desk with a matching chair, bright tapestries, and a large iron stove with plenty of wood to feed it. Light enters through arrow slits as well as through dirt-caked windows with broken shutters. Other features of the room include a standing suit of armor and a wooden chest. Old wooden rafters bend under the weight of the tower roof, which has somehow remained intact, and mounted to the rafters are pulleys around which hang the iron chains that used to support you and the tower's elevator platform.
This whole place is fascinating. I'll go ahead and step off the platform now
Okay.
towards the desk.
Okay. Are you looking at the desk, or what are you?
I'm gonna try to see if like the platform will start descending at first.
Once you step off it, yes, it begins descending.
Okay. Once that happens, I'm just gonna start investigating the desk and like the room, seeing what's going on up in here.
Okay. Give me one sec. You find on the desk. First of all, make an investigation check as you.
Investigation.
Yeah, as you just sort of investigate the desk.
Ooh, I got you, fam. Don't worry. Fuck.
All right. The only thing you really notice on the desk is that you don't really notice anything useful on the desk. You notice that there's a quill with a pen, but there's no like notes or notebooks, anything on the desk itself. What you do notice, however, in the room that is somewhat interesting is that there's a chest nearby, a wooden chest. And you notice it because you sort of smell a nice lavender aroma coming from it. Meanwhile, the rest of you are on the ground floor, and Best has sort of been gone for a few minutes now, as this thing has gone up slowly and stopped at each floor. And now you notice that the platform is sort of making its way back down. So, Best, what are you doing now that you notice this thing?
I start heading towards the chest and take another quick glance as I'm walking to try to make note of anything useful after the chest.
Just near and around the chest, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing you see a suit of armor, and you see a chest, and as you get closer to the chest, you smell the aroma coming from it is this lavender. It's a nice aroma, but it's just it seems to be coming from inside the chest.
Well, I'm gonna try to just open it.
Okay. When you open the chest, you see that there is a severed head inside.
Ah, yes, comfy, just like home.
Yes. And it make a oh goodness, Arcana check. It's a human head, a man, human man.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, you're not sure. It looks actually fresher than you would think it would. And that's and it doesn't smell rotten or anything. You smell this lavender scent coming from it, but it's definitely a human head sitting here.
Are the eyes open?
No.
Damn. All right, I'm gonna do what any smart man does with 10 intelligence. Poke it.
Okay, you poke it, and nothing really happens. It feels kind of oily. You smell your fingers. It smells like lavender.
Yet I walk up to knock on the door and almost die.
All right. By this point, the elevator has made its way down. Back to you all. What do you do?
What the hell is he doing?
I'll step on the elevator.
Okay.
Are you okay up there? I try to shout to see if he could hear.
Best, you sort of hear Orath from far away yelling, "Are you okay?"
I found a head. That's all they get.
Did he say he's dead?
Pretty sure he should just leave.
You get inspiration for that. That was funny.
Wait, me?
Yes.
Oh, sweet.
That was good. Because he's far away, so it would have sounded different. Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot.
I'm gonna take the head into my hands.
Okay.
It's just oily. Like, doesn't even feel like flesh.
It does feel like flesh. I just feel like it's coated with this oil. You have no idea what it is, but it smells good.
Well, Mama didn't raise no smart man. I'ma lick it.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. All right. You lick it.
Contract some kind of disease.
You have no idea. It tastes kind of. It tastes like you just ate. Like those air freshener things that have that you plug into the wall and they have like rechargeable scent things. You just licked that liquid in that thing. Basically, it tastes really gross. It's like bitter and
It could definitely take more seasoning.
yeah, it's not good.
Lilia died, and this guy survived.
Yes. All right. So Oleana, is anyone going with her up the elevator, or is it just her?
If there's room, maybe, but me being a big bulking person, probably not this.
I could probably fit on with her. So
I'll say 2 people at a time can go. You know,
Oh, nice.
it's fine.
Okay, never mind. Then you're
Just
good.
make it easier.
Alright.
Yeah. All right. So you 2 go up. The elevator goes back down. You see Best holding this head, and you see him sort of like flitting his tongue a little bit, like you know what I
Do
mean?
you have no respect for the dead?
You want the truthful answer?
Never mind. I check the rest of the room, since he's so enticed by this head, apparently.
I
Alright.
will examine the head.
Okay. You, Oleana, make a let's say investigation check with advantage. Okay. You get the sense looking at this head that this is the head of a Vistani man. You can tell just by the facial features, since you've been, living here for a really long time, that this person definitely looks Vistani. And you get the sense that maybe this head was preserved or something in some way. But it's kind of creepy to just have a head sitting here. You don't know who it is or anything, though.
I would be interested in this for the queen. So
Okay. Again, the platform goes all the way back to the bottom. So now at the bottom, it's just basically Rictavio it's Rictavio, Orman, and Caspin left, and Arabelle. Sorry.
What
Okay.
is this like?
I'll go up the elevator.
All right. Rictavio. Yeah.
With Arabelle.
Yes, Rictavio will go with you, and then we'll say after that, for the sake of time, that all of you make it up the elevator. What do you all do when you're up there?
I'm still frolicking with the head.
Okay.
What the hell is wrong with you?
It seems important.
It's. Cass is just gonna shake his head.
Well, I'm hoping that someone can identify this.
Okay. Rox is restarting her PC. So I'm gonna move you all to the top of this map here. One sec. Don't mind me. Just dragging you up. All right, cool.
She's hoping that restarting her PC stops the runs from getting rolled, or
Yes, exactly.
I
That's
guess
how that works. All right,
I'm
everyone.
rather curious about why it's preserved so much. So could I do a check on it for healing or something like that to see how it was preserved?
Yeah, make a medicine check.
I want the identity. Well,
I cannot roll tonight. Okay, cool.
Nice.
You definitely think it's been preserved in some way. You're just not sure, like, exactly what types of oils or whatever were used. But yeah, you definitely think it's been preserved. Like, you think that's pretty much correct.
Why would someone preserve someone's head?
see?
Experimentation, potentially.
Yeah, but like,
Absolutely no respect.
Agreed.
does this head show like signs of like being tampered with, cut?
Yeah,
things
it's
like
got lick marks on it.
that? Yeah, well, I mean,
Yes. There is that. You don't, other than the fact that it's definitely been cut off, severed in some way. You get no sense that the head has been like tampered with, other than to apply whatever this gross oil is. It smells good, but it tastes bad. Oil all over it. It's also at this moment that Rictavio begins sort of poking around this area, and he sort of says, "It appears that this place has been lived in for some time. Perhaps that wagon owner stayed here for a time. Though they don't appear to be here now."
Well, at the very least.
Should we check out the other floors then?
You pretty much notice that all those floors were bare, empty, and rotting away.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. It's all about the bottom and the top floor, baby.
Did we secure the door at the entrance there to make sure no one else could get in, perchance?
You
That's a no.
did not. No one did that. Yeah.
How do we
I
get
was
this stupid
just-
platform to come back up?
When you say that, the platform begins coming back up.
Oh, that's convenient.
Sorry, I had to go grab something.
Alright.
And it slowly begins creaking its way back up. And as it creeps its way back up, you notice that Arabelle is just sort of sitting at the bed, and she has her tarot cards out, and she's just sort of shuffling them around. She looks anxious and nervous, in much the same way that Best looked when he was playing with his cards. Yeah, that's what she's up to. Eventually, the platform makes its way to the top floor with you guys. What do you do?
Caspin sighs and steps on it.
All right, you slowly begin making your way down. When you get to the bottom of the tower, you notice that the door has shut by itself.
I guess I'm not going to go near the damn thing for some odd reason. Caspin shakes his head, gets back on the platform.
Okay, you get back on the platform and slowly it begins going back up. Eventually, you guys notice that Caspin looks up a bit annoyed as he gets back to the top.
The gnome returns.
Halfling, you imbecile.
Same difference.
I just shake my head.
It started off with the wrong dragon skin color. And now this.
If only I could smite you.
That's a
Don't think it would work in here right now, though.
Alright, I'm back.
All right, welcome back. Also, at this point, Rictavio, you also notice that I forgot to mention this before, but Rictavio no longer looks like the half-elf bard that you met in the inn. He apparently used some sort of magic to make that a disguise. He showed it to you back when you fought Lavash, but as soon as he got close to the tower, the guise of Rictavio fell once again due to the anti-magic field, and he now looks like an older man with a cane and these sort of rounded spectacles and this like brown jacket, and he carries himself with very stern composure, and just as a heads up, that's what he looks like. But he says to you all, "We should rest here for the night."
You missed Caspin going down to close the door, it being closed, him getting pissed off and coming back up.
Yes, that's all you missed.
That's about it.
And I called him a halfling.
You called him a gnome.
Yes, I did. That's the
Shaking
biggest
my head.
breakfast. That's just the biggest
Yeah, I think taking a rest here would probably be the best idea.
please. I need it.
Okay. Does anyone want to do anything or anything before you all rest for the evening here?
No, not really.
There's only like one bed in the room. So there's that.
Leave it to the little girl. Question mark?
Yeah, you can do that. Okay.
And I'd probably do the thing I told you about Perry with talking with Air about for a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna be playing with my cards until I pass out. Not really. Well, just fiddling around with it.
So you all watch as Orath and Arabelle talk. You presume he's trying to calm her down, and she looks kind of nervous. The rest of you, yes, Oleana watches best with interest. The rest of you begin to wind down for the evening. Is there anything anyone would like to do as they wind down? What are your sort of nightly rituals as you're winding down after all this mess you've been through?
Caspin would say quick prayer and before bed, and then probably just ignore everyone as he tried to fall asleep against a wall.
Okay.
Real friendly.
Ormond is just studying his spellbook.
Cool. It's at this point that all right, so is anyone staying up or anything, or keeping watch or doing any of that stuff, or should we just go into the next thing? Just wanna...
I'll keep watch
Okay.
because I think Bess would have the best of time sleeping right now.
Okay.
Oleana would also stay up for a bit since she doesn't really need sleep.
Yeah, you only need like half for a trance or whatever. All right, so we'll say that Best will take the first shift, then Oleana, you can take the second shift, and so Best, as you are, you manage to stay up, and nothing really bad happens, but eventually you hear a sort of rapping at one of the windows. Like a tick, 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 coming from one of the windows.
Huh. I'll head to that window.
When you head to the window, you see a raven at the window. And then you sort of see it go, "Ah!"
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
Can I open the window?
Yep. You open the window, and the raven sort of hops in, and it sort of looks around, and then it looks at you, and it goes, "Ah!"
and then turns into Strahd and punches you hard.
Oh, my nose. Punches my nose. I'll, as he does this, I solemnly look at the ground and then carefully raise my hand and give the crow a little small head rub.
Aw. He accepts it, and I'd like you to make an insight check.
Insight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh god, it has the soul of Lilia. No.
Oh my god.
You're like, this is a really friendly bird.
It's a nice bird.
It's a pretty cool bird. Yeah. But he just chills in here with you. Eventually, Oleana, you awake as well, and you see Best sort of playing with this. There's a crow now with him. Just sort of. He seems to have pretty good control over it for some reason.
Raven.
Raven, yes.
I give it little bits of food.
Oleana would immediately be interested, and I will cast Speak with Animals.
Okay.
Oh, she's pet pal.
And okay, so you cast your spell, and what do you say?
Anti-magic tower. Sorry to be the devil's advocate here, but
Oh right, shit, it doesn't work. Sorry, I'm sorry, it does not work. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm sorry.
Well,
Rewind. You try to cast it, but you're like, oh shit.
I guess Oleana would still ask the bird quietly. Are you a messenger from the queen?
The bird looks at you and sort of tilts its head, and then shakes no.
All right.
And it just
Understand this, little buddy?
sort of looks around.
This is the smartest bird ever. It can understand us.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't understand it.
I could anywhere but this tower.
Clearly no one else can.
Oleana will offer up food to the raven.
It will come to you and it'll eat the food. And as you sort of watch this bird, it makes like a caw that you've heard before. Make a oh my goodness, wisdom survival check, I guess. I'll allow nature as well. Whatever's higher.
Only,
I'll say you have advantage. Since you're you. Oh,
it.
good God. Okay. You get the sense that the bird is very sad. And that caw is like just like a sad caw. Like it's mourning.
Well, fuck. I would want to know why the raven is sad.
The only one up with you right now is Best.
No.
And he has no idea what the fuck anything is.
I'm just looking at her do these head tilts and stuff. I'm like, man, she's fucking crazy.
I guess until I can speak with the raven, I would just pat it on the head.
Oh, that it seems to just accept that, and it'll just stick around. It sort of sits atop a nearby windowsill and just sort of lays down with you guys in this tower. So anyway, Best, you go to sleep eventually after this interaction, and Oleana, you do you stay up for the rest of the morning, and eventually it is daybreak, which, it's not like bright or anything because this is Barovia, but it is the next day now. And you all have regained your spell slots and all that other stuff.
Thank God.
After 2 days, I finally get them.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. You all get your long rest in. You wake up. Everyone is feeling good
Well,
for the most part.
feeling healthy.
Feeling healthy, not good.
I'm sad as fuck.
Yeah.
Spells.
Yeah, I'm gonna be right back real quick.
Okay. You do notice that the raven is still here in the room, being relatively quiet. Rictavio will also be up and about. He gets up pretty early, being an older man, and he sort of looks to you all and says, "What's the plan?"
At this point, I don't think there is much of a plan.
There is things to still investigate in that town. The fortunes say there is something to be sought for there. House where ghosts stood still, I believe. We could give it a few more days to see if things have settled down, though. I would also like to try to go there to find the remains to see if we can at least carry out Lylia's wish of keeping the children safe. Maybe look for that pie maker as well.
We do have to deal with the hags eventually, I would guess here.
Fortunes? Plans? What are you guys doing?
That's a very good question.
We are.
Surviving.
That's probably the best way to put it. We were transported here magically, unsure how. Except mist brought us here. We've been stuck ever since. We believe that potentially defeating this Strahd might be able to get us out of here.
You look to kill Strahd?
Fool's errand, maybe, but there's nothing else we can do.
Oleana looks like she's at war with herself and then asks, "May I join you?"
Well, the more the merrier.
Of course, we're gonna need all the help that we can get.
I have reasons for wanting Strahd dead.
I think I can understand those.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Rictavio will chime in, and he will say, "She's a very capable fighter. She's able to use the power of the elements, change her shape at will. Very useful."
That'll be helpful.
I've returned.
Welcome back.
Not too bad with a scimitar either.
You finally got that scimitar.
She had to keep the scimitar.
I mean, it was one of the recommended ones. I wasn't gonna pass.
Love it.
And now, or that gets sad. Lily always wanted one of those.
I'm very curious. Who is this Lilia you speak of?
I just looked at best.
companion of ours that last we saw was in Strahd's hands.
Is she still alive?
Unsure. Last I saw her, she was.
Maybe a good story for the queen.
Who's this queen you speak of?
The Raven Queen.
Arabelle will chime in and say, "She was really strong."
Was?
Arabelle nods.
Why was?
Lilia was strong. I think she's referring to
Oh,
not the Raven Queen.
Yeah, Lilia,
Got it.
not the Raven Queen. Not dropping plot. The whole plot's that big right now. What's
fucking cool person.
all best?
But yes, I would like to look into keeping the children safe of that town. As well as Lilia wanted.
But I do agree it would be wise to wait a few days, perhaps maybe at least one day more.
Agreed.
Even then, I highly doubt we're going to be welcomed there with open arms.
You just brought me my tips.
Depends on who's running it.
Do you really think the city guard's going to let us just walk in after what happened?
I think they saw that we were trying to help.
Doesn't matter. We're just a bunch of travelers, and at this point, their town was just attacked. I don't think they're going to let anyone in willingly.
Well, it's definitely worth a try. There's some information in the town that I'd like to collect.
I could go spy on the town for if you would like.
That is true.
That went so well for us last time one of us tried that, didn't it?
Ravens can go most places without notice here.
The Raven will go, "Arr!" As if he's agreeing with that statement.
When did he get here?
He joined us in the middle of the night.
There's something odd about this bird.
I was gonna see if the Raven would like to speak with me outside, if anyone would like to come.
I will.
I'd be interested to see what our little companion has to say.
Caspin nods and just kind of motions towards the elevator.
How do we get it up? Did it descend after the last person got up?
No,
Yo, elevator, get up here. And I'll stand next to the platform.
Okay, it comes up, and you all, you all make your way down it. Everybody eventually makes their way down, and now you're at the door. What do you do?
I go far enough outside to be able to cast Speak with Animals.
Okay, and you notice this time that the door from the inside opens just fine. So you had nothing to worry about, Casper. So that kind of annoys you a little bit. But you were still, at the time, you were scared. You're like, I'm gonna get shocked
I
again.
had just gotten electrocuted. I think it was justified.
Yes. So you make your way outside, and you go a little ways away from the tower where you think your magic will work, and you do this time cast Speak with Animals successfully. You think? What do you say?
I ask why the Raven is accompanying these people.
He says, "Oh my goodness, you can understand me? Finally, someone around here that speaks Raven."
Of course.
Yes, I befriended these people. They're quite good. There's one among them I do not see. I think she must be missing. I miss her.
I think that the one who is missing is dead.
Oh. That
I'm
is sad to hear.
sorry to bring you that bad news.
Well, truth be told, I'm not just a raven. My name is Falcon. I know it is ironic, considering I'm a raven, but I am. I've been watching these people, and I think they're good.
And all we hear is squawk, squawk, squawk,
Basically, yep.
squawk.
Back and forth.
Why did I come out here to listen to this again?
I relay what he has said so far and his name to the party. I ask, do you serve the Raven Queen?
He says, I do not, but there are many of us. I am not sure I can say as much as I want to right now, but I think I'm part of a group of other ravens. A kindness is what we call ourselves. In a group, I mean.
Is it murder of crows?
Exactly.
Okay.
Says I am not actually a raven. I am a were-raven.
Money.
I
Shit.
see.
She's gonna give us the disease.
You stand against Strahd?
Yes, for the most part. But I've not yet revealed myself to these people. I wanted to watch them first, see if they were truly good. I think that they are. What do you think?
Loaded question.
I
I
have
literally just licked a decapitated head.
True.
I have known them but a short while. The bard seems strange.
The raven laughs in Raven. I don't know. That was my best. That was my best attempt.
I say overall they seem like good people though.
He sort of says, "If you don't mind, do not reveal my being a were-raven to them just yet. I would like to keep an eye on them just a little bit longer."
I can do that.
Okay. He will hop on your shoulder.
You seem to have made a new friend. What does he want?
To accompany us.
Wasn't there something in a prophecy about following the ravens?
Indeed, but it seems like this one is following us. Perhaps we can ask it another time. Or perhaps now.
Where did you hear these prophecies?
Vistani camp, Madam Eva.
Ava.
As well as our young friend up in the tower there.
She seems young for that power.
She's somewhat of a prodigy.
She sort of perks up. What? What?
As he turns into Saturn. Oh god!
Collect positions.
So then where do we go from here?
Well, where else could we go in that prophecy? There was a few things that it mentioned.
I believe a
Well,
couple of them are back in town, are they not?
They are. I
at
don't
least
think
one
those
is
are
back in
options.
town.
I don't
The
think
other
those
one-
options are on the table right now.
Other one we were told perhaps we were not quite prepared enough yet. The dragon prophecy, the one with the fortress with a dragon. I'm trying to remember. The dragon's house.
I believe there was one with the dude with the arm, correct? Hold on, let me pull up the camera off the top of my head.
The only one in the town was the town is not well, and there's a house of corruption.
The thing we were doing
okay.
with the guy with the arm is we had that toy maker make another doll, and we were gonna
Oh,
ask
right,
him
right,
about
right. Yeah.
Blinsky.
Yeah. So the only ones we could really do outside of the town is the tree that the raven can lead us to potentially, or the dragon house, which we were told we were not really prepared yet. So
And the
Can
other
you
ones
ask
we
the
don't have a
Raven
lead on yet either.
about the grave?
oh yes, there was a grave with the name of I can't recall. Any of you?
Oh crap! I wrote it down.
I think I did too. Where did I put that?
I don't want to pull up
Um,
the keen intellect card, but
Oh, Escher. You're talking about that grave, the empty one?
yeah.
Okay. So Oleana would not know anything about Escher. And the Raven. Oh, you're gonna ask the Raven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll turn to the Raven and say, "Do you know anything about an Escher?"
First of all, inspiration to Orman for that. But he will say Escher was a dear friend of mine when he was alive. He was very near and dear to my heart, and ever since he passed away, I believe he now resides in Castle Ravenloft.
What do you mean by, or can you ask what do you mean by that?
I relay.
He continues and says, I believe he is now, or he says, oh, geez, wrong accent. He says, I think he is now a vampire spawn underneath Strahd himself, one of his consorts.
Who was he originally? I know you said he was a nice man, but
He was my best friend.
okay,
His best man?
friend.
Friend. Sorry, I misheard that.
I don't know what to do with that info.
Where
Did we want to
Was
ask
he
about the
buried at all?
tree?
Couldn't hurt to ask him if he's willing to talk about it.
I'll just act as a relay.
Okay. Yeah. He will say. So, what do you say about the tree specifically to help him identify what type of tree you're potentially talking?
Tree that the ravens could lead us to. Something about
An evil tree grows on top of a hill of graves.
He says, He says, you are talking of the tree near the vineyard, I believe. There's a vineyard called the Wizards of the Wines Winery. A family runs it there. And nearby is a hill that we call Yester Hill. And the top of this hill is a very, very strange tree. I don't like it.
fantastic.
Okay.
He
Well,
says,
we have
it's
some
it's
things
not
to go
far
on.
from here.
Yeah. So if we want to not delay so much, we can go check out the winery.
It would be potentially the best thing to get first, since it is a item of good protection. Might be able to keep us hidden from Strahd.
Definitely.
Be nice to have a win here for once.
All right.
Would you be
Also,
willing to lead us there? I'll ask. Vienna.
he will say yes. He'll help lead you there. And he will also say to Oleana privately, so this is privately to Oleana, he will say, there's one other thing that I do not want you to tell them about this winery. The family that runs it is actually also a family of were-ravens. So, we call ourselves the Keepers of the Feather. Until we learn more about these people and their motives, do not tell them anything. I trust you as one of the followers of the Ravens, but I still need to see more from them. I've seen good things, especially from Lilia, but I'm still leery of strangers.
Oh, sure. I stand in front of Vlad there and get clocked in the face, but Lily.
Will
I understand. All I do is talk shit. So
will they be there? Are you sure it's okay to bring them there?
He says, yes, it's okay.
Okay.
Cool. So now that you guys are outside, by the way, you do notice that the wagon is still there. And Rectavio seems to be restless about the wagon, and he will say, I think I'm going to stay here while you all investigate the winery. I have some research to do, and this place seems safe for now.
As safe as any place in this world can be, right?
Indeed. This wagon, though, bothers me.
why does it bother you?
I don't know who is here and why. Need to be investigated.
Do you
Well,
want
did the
to
head
check
look
it out?
familiar to you at all?
I've never seen this before.
Any chance we can figure out what may have been housed within it?
You all can certainly try. What do you want to try?
I would guess nature.
To see what's housed in it? Oh, I mean,
What used to be housed in it? So investigation or nature would be my guess.
it's just, yeah, you could do investigation. See what that would reveal.
All right. I am not. No.
Nope. Yeah, you don't, yeah, you don't see anything from your investigation check, but
Um,
you do notice that there is an area underneath the wagon.
Wait, underneath the wagon?
Yes. Like you can go underneath it, perhaps, and investigate under there.
Oh, good God. I'm not doing it by myself if I do, but I'll point it out to everyone.
There's something under here.
I will what yeah. Yeah, I can. Best what?
because I can never let this go.
Oh, he's asking about if the raven.
Raven knows the head.
Yeah.
Oh, I will ask.
He says he has no idea.
Damn it! One of these days.
We'll find out who you made.
Wait, are you
with
keeping the
this
head
morning.
with you?
Wait, what? Yeah, hang
He's
on.
never put it down.
Did you put it down, or is it with you? Like you're holding it?
I'm tempted to put it in my bag.
Oh my god.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, you can if you want.
Pretty sure Caspin actually hates you.
I mean, in all honesty, if Bess doesn't have it, Oleana will probably put it in her bag.
Oh my. It's a head. Oh my god.
There are reasons.
Yeah, sure, I'll
Best,
keep
I'd
the head.
assume it'd be to lick it again.
Maybe something. I don't know.
I'll investigate under the wagon.
Make a perception check.
How come I'm the only one who has to make a freaking dexterity saving throw?
Oh my goodness.
My dice.
No one is rolling well. Yeah, you
The only thing I did roll well was the dexterity saving throw.
you when you get under there, you see that there is a trap door underneath the wagon.
We should move this wagon. There's a trap door under it.
I mean, like a trap door that would lead into the wagon.
I was gonna say.
Oh.
I think
Sorry.
it means, yeah, I have to go.
Yeah.
from
I got
underneath.
confused.
Yeah, you're good.
Can I try to open it? Is it locked?
It is not locked, actually.
I will try to open it then.
All right. When you open the trap door, you sort of crawl. You look up into the wagon, and it seems to be filled with all kinds of various things. You do see as well that the back door of the wagon, the one that had the sign that said "Keep Out," is jerry-rigged with a wire loop, and that it is connected to probably to alchemist's fire up above. And that had someone probably tried to open that door, this would have been a serious explosion that would have been caused in here.
First thing I'll do is disarm the trap.
Make a dexterity check. Oh my god.
And here comes the next character.
Oh.
I'm gonna go next to the door. Everything okay in there?
Okay. So I'm gonna need everybody to make a Constitution saving throw. Oh, good God.
TPK. TPK.
Oh, where's my other? Con, right?
Yes. Okay.
TPK.
Oh my goodness gracious.
TPK. TPK.
Hey, I think I'll live at least, even if it's
Oh.
force.
Oh God.
You guys maybe not so much.
Alright. Roll the dice, I guess. I'm just gonna do the average damage. Because I don't want to roll all that. Alright, who else has to roll? Oleana, Orath, Best, Orman.
Caspin.
Sorry, what?
Constitution saving throw. We're about to die.
Oh, okay. Constitution.
TPK. TPK.
Oh, where's Victavio? Old man about to get wrecked. Where you at, old man? Here he is.
Damn. The one on the right was a natural 20. That would have been nice.
Con.
As I place my head next to the
I guess
door,
Arabelle as well.
okay
I was
in
gonna
there.
say if there's a chance I could just protect her, can Can I sacrifice my roll to protect her, basically, from the damage? I'll take the full force of it.
Yeah, we'll say you can have
Rolled
it.
pretty damn
You
well.
can you can have it, and then if she succeeds, she can have it again. So okay. Okay.
So what happened?
Okay, so I'm about to explain. So you attempt to disarm this trap, but you fumble it, Oleana, and the alchemist fire drops. And when it drops, there's about a bunch more also drop all around you, and you're like, oh in that split second. And when you do an explosion, this thing explodes the wagon completely, and anyone within like a 30 feet of this wagon, which is pretty much the whole island of this place, just sort of gets knocked back, and you all try to brace yourselves from all this fire that is now bursting from the wagon as this explosion erupts. This is a lot of damage. You all take 55 fire damage if you did not save.
Save.
If there's a save, if you say the save is 12, so
What?
12. So you take half of that, which is 27.
I'm
Yes.
I have 1 health.
out. I'm out.
I
I'm
don't
out
take half
cold.
of that, right? So I
Ye-
take full 55.
Yeah, you do.
I took all of that damage too. I'm knocked unconscious, but that means I believe Arabelle only takes a quarter of that.
So she takes 13 points of damage. She's still fine, but she screams as she's lit ablaze.
I literally have 1 health left.
My goodness.
My body is covering Arabelle, basically.
All right.
I'm also
Unconscious now.
Am I the only one conscious?
I think so.
Rictavio also did well. He's fine for now.
Congrats, Roxy almost caught the TPK.
Good God.
Rocks of murder, keeping true to form.
My rolls have been so bad. I
What
have
the
a
hell
good.
was that?
I have good dexterity. Jesus crap.
Okay. And as that happens, stuff just flies everywhere.
Well,
Caspin
we're
pulls
not going to
himself-
the tree. We're gonna stay here for another night.
Caspin pulls himself up off the ground and just staggers over to check on everyone.
Rictavio sort of barely lifts himself up with his cane, and he's like, "What in the seven hells just happened?"
I'd say your instincts were spot on, and we should have probably listened to them.
We should help the others.
Caspin nods, and I'm going to use a cure wounds on. I guess we'll do Orath first, so you get my max without having to roll if you're unconscious.
Rictavio will do the same. He will use Cure Wounds on... Who else is down?
I think everyone else is down.
Alright, so you got Orath. He'll get both Oleana and Orman.
So I give you an automatic 11 to get back up.
That's Oleana. You get 12. As Rictavio basically shows his holy symbol of the Morning Lord, and he will place his hand on you, and you feel the light within as you're rejuvenated. And he will do the same for Orman, giving you 9 hit points back.
Cool.
I'll look at Best and instead go for Oleana.
Cool.
First.
Oh no, Rictavio got Oleana and Orman.
Oh. Caspin will sigh and then go over and use the Cure Light Wound on Best.
Okay.
Light wounds. I see how it is.
That's my only healing spell I could use right now.
Yeah, you're
So
fine.
you get 11 health automatically because you're unconscious at the very least.
Okay. So everyone update your stuff here. What do you do as this happens?
Oh God, that reminds me of my first marriage.
Happened.
What?
I'd say that something exploded, but that's just What the hell was that?
There was a trap. I tried to disarm it. It did not go well.
Little bit of warning next time so we can at least, get some distance away. I have been electrocuted and blown up far too much in the last couple of days.
And at this moment, I just forget all about myself and just make sure Arabelle's okay.
Yeah, underneath you, you managed to block the brunt of the blast, and Arabelle looks fine. She's bits of her clothes are burnt, and she's got some tears in her eyes, but she seems okay. She seems pretty resilient for her age.
I love that
Thankfully.
the weaker characters are the only ones still standing at the end of that.
Yes.
I would have survived, thank you very much, if I didn't sacrifice my role.
Legitimately, only one player character was alive after that.
Dear God. Also,
One health.
Also, you notice that when this thing exploded, several items flew out all over this island, and some of them splashed into the water nearby. And the sound that carried from this explosion was quite immense, out across the lake and to the woods, and even like into the mountains beyond. There's a shitload of random stuff all around you. So if anyone wants to investigate, I'll say you could.
Yep.
I'll
Yeah.
investigate.
You can make an investigation check, or you can aid someone else in the party, I'll say, and you give them
I can
advantage.
use
I'll-
guidance to give someone a plus D4. I'll do that instead and kind of hang back because I've only got 1 health left. I'm not going near anything right now.
I'll
aid
assist.
Orman.
I was gonna say I was gonna do that, or I'll just if you want to help me out, Oli, Anna.
So
will
I give someone a D4 to any ability check of their choice right now.
Hang on. Real quick, first, before I start investigation, I do cast this.
Healing spirit.
Oh, excellent! I love healing spirit. So good. Basically, we just keep going in and out and get our health back.
Oh my
We fold the
God.
train into a circle,
Conga for health.
basically.
So you can add a D4 to that Ormond as well.
So technically, if we all
18.
plan this correctly, we can all get 10d6 health back.
Jesus,
Yes.
wow.
So I'm gonna go ahead and roll mine on that because
Go ahead. Roll your rolls.
I'm fully healed.
Watch me roll all
Such a
ones.
good out of combat spell.
Can I just
Is.
like say I get max healing?
Yeah, just you heal the
Roll
full.
all ones.
You all heal the full. It's fine.
Yeah, but I need to see how many ones.
Yeah, I mean, you could if you got all ones, I'd laugh really hard. Oh my
What
God,
the fuck?
Bess,
100.
we said 10.
If those were all ones, I would be very impressed.
What in the Sam hell?
How did you manage that?
I double clicked one.
Yeah. There you go. 33, baby.
Hey.
Not 364.
All right, did Ormond do the thing? All right,
18.
18. Okay, 18.
Right.
All right.
Let me do investigation with advantage. 8. Ha!
Well, I'm just saying one person can do it with eggs. I don't want everyone to do it.
Oh, okay.
But we're gonna let the person with the highest investigation. So Ormond, you managed to find a good deal of the items here with that roll. You find that a lot of things have been destroyed. There was a wardrobe with some clothes, but all those seem to be on fire and not really usable. So you can't really even make out what any of that stuff was. There seem to be some burnt shoes among them, but not really usable anymore. You see that there are some weapons that might still be usable. There was a light crossbow, but it's burnt away. And there were some bolts, but they got burnt up as well.
Oh my god!
Yes. You see a battle axe and a flail that look okay, and a morning star that looks okay. You see Let me just. You know what? Let me just. Well, I'll make a note of these for you guys later.
Okay, because I was gonna say I'll take anything salvageable.
Yeah.
and
If
then
anything
bring it
looks
to the group.
intact, like perfect, most likely it's a magic item.
Yes. Pretty much a lot of this stuff is destroyed. There appears to be a dead chicken
Oh my god.
that got roasted alive in here.
It's
There.
dinner.
Can I pack it for rations? Yeah, exactly.
It's probably pretty gross, to be honest. You see that there were eggs that also got roasted, chicken
My
eggs.
children.
Hard-boiled eggs.
You find a silver ewer that seems somewhat intact.
What's an ewer?
It's like
Like a jar.
what pours like wine and stuff.
Okay.
But it looks, damaged as well. You see that there are manacles, like 3 sets of them. There's some copper pots and pans that are still around. There's a gold holy symbol of the Morning Lord here. Let's see, those are all destroyed. That's destroyed. That's destroyed. That's destroyed. All of that is destroyed. I'm gonna roll to see if these are destroyed. Oh wow, that's interesting. All right, you find 2 items that are somewhat intact. You were so lucky, but they were locked in tubes. So the tubes are scorched all around them, but they seem to be intact. Like 2 of these tubes. And you also, out of the corner of your eye, see a charred page that catches your eye.
A charred page like catches my eye.
Yeah, like a charred page that almost like it was from a book, but the rest of the book is gone. And it's like 1 page, sort of off on the side there.
Okay, so I take the silver pitcher, or the ewer, whatever the fuck it is. Then I'll take the page, and like realistically anything that's valuable.
Okay.
But mainly, I want to take the silver. Definitely get the silver ewer thing.
Okay. All right. So you look at those things. The 2 things look like cases for scrolls or maps, perhaps.
Okay.
And the page, since you have it, I will show to you all. But it's pretty long, so I'll go ahead and read it. Here we go. Hold up. Need water.
To whoever finds this carriage.
It says,
Whoever finds this carriage, do not try to jump the trap. It's a bad idea.
For more than 3 decades now, I have undertaken to investigate and expose creatures of darkness to the purifying light of truth and knowledge. Hero I am named in some circles, sage and master hunter I am called in others. That I have survived countless supernatural assaults is seen as a marvel among my peers. My name is spoken with fear and loathing among my foes. In truth, this virtuous calling began as an obsessive effort to destroy a vampire that murdered my child, and it has become for me a tedious and bleak career. Even as my life of hunting monsters began, I felt the weight of time on my weary shoulders. Today I am a man who has simply lived too long. Like a regretful lich, I find myself inexorably bound to an existence I sought out of madness, and seemingly must now endure for all eternity. Of course I shall die, but whether I shall ever rest in my grave haunts my idle thoughts, and torments me in my dreams. I expect that those who think me a hero will change their minds when they know the whole truth about my life as a hunter of the unnatural. Nevertheless, I must reveal here and now that I have been the indirect yet certain cause of many deaths and the loss of many good friends. Mistake me not. I do not merely feel sorry for myself. Rather, I come to grips with a devastating realization. I now see that I am the object of a baleful Vistani curse. More tragically, the nature of this hex is such that I have not borne the brunt of it. Instead, far worse, those who surround me have fallen victim to it. I have related the tragic story of how my only child, Erasmus, was taken by Vistani and sold to a vampire. I explained how Erasmus was made a minion of the Night Stalker, and how it was my miserable part to free him from that fate at the point of a stake. What I have neglected to illuminate before is how I tracked Erasmus's kidnappers across the land, or how I extracted Erasmus's whereabouts from them. In fact, the Vistani took Erasmus with my own unwitting permission. They had brought an extremely ill member of their tribe to me one evening and insisted that I treat him, but I was unable to save the young man's life. In fear of their retribution, I begged the Vistani to take anything of mine, if only they would withhold their terrifying powers, of which I knew nothing. To my lasting astonishment, they chose to surreptitiously take my son in exchange for their loss. By the time I realized what had occurred, they were already an hour gone. Incensed beyond reason, I strapped the body of the dead young man to my horse and doggedly followed the Vistani caravan through the woods, naively allowing the sun to set before me without seeking shelter from the night. Shortly after darkness fell, I was beset by undead that would have slain me, had not their master, a lich, intervened and spared my life, for reasons that I do not completely understand. He somehow detected me and, with his powerful magic, took control of a pack of zombies that wandered the forest. He spoke to me through the mouths of the dead things and placed a magic ward against the undead on me, then animated the dead Vistana and bade it tell me where I could find its people. Unfortunately, the plan worked. I found the child stealers, and my unwelcome entourage included a growing horde of voracious undead that could not touch me, thanks to the Lich's ward. When I found the caravan, I threatened to set the zombies upon the Vistani unless they returned my dear boy. They replied that they had been sold to the vampire. He had been sold to the vampire Baron Metis. Something inside of me snapped. I released the zombies, and the entire tribe was eaten alive. Yet the story has not ended. Before she died, the leader cursed me, saying, "Live you always among monsters, and see everyone you love die beneath their claws." Even now, so many years later, I can hear her words with a painful clarity. A short time later, I found my dear Erasmus made into a vampire. He begged me to end his curse, which I did with a heavy heart. The darkness had torn him from my loving arms forever, and I foolishly believed that the curse had exacted its deadly toll. I wept until an insatiate desire for vengeance filled the bottomless rift in my heart. That's it.
That's kind of
That
tough.
gives us some context.
Yep. Cool.
Be interested to hear more about this Lich. He's definitely still around, right? He would have to be.
In this world, I wouldn't be surprised. Friend of yours, Octavio?
You sense that Rictavio is completely quiet when you read that. And he says, "I believe I know whose wagon this is."
Whose wagon is this?
Esmeralda.
Esmeralda.
Yes.
Who is Esmeralda?
My name is not actually Rictavio, you see. It's a disguise. My name is Rudolf van Richten, and I am a vampire hunter. That page is from my journal. Esmeralda was my protege.
What happened to her?
I left her for her own good. She has come to seek me for some reason, and she cannot find me. I will not allow it.
Why not?
The curse takes from me everyone that I love. If I get too attached to anyone, they will surely die. I cannot let that happen to her. She means too much. She seeks to find me, that much is true, for certain, but she cannot be allowed to. If you ever find her, do not speak of me, please.
How long have you been hunting now?
Over 30 years since that day.
That's something that we-
So she's somewhere in the vicinity at the very least. So why would she leave her wagon here?
That's a good question. She is rash, powerful, to be sure, but foolish, naive, strong-willed, stubborn. No doubt she did something stupid.
So, since we're talking about like Undead Slayer, really quick, are any of the weapons that we found silver?
God damn.
Never end.
You know, that is a great question.
Well, if it's a Vampire Slayer's weapons, they might be.
There may have been something that was, but it's not here. Rip.
I pass
There was
Orath
some
the silver
stuff there.
pitcher. So maybe you can make something out of this.
There may have been at some point something. You don't know for sure.
Did we get everything out of the water?
Everything that I
No.
was able to find, and that was worth something. So
Yes.
we have. Were those glass vials tubes? Was that what this letter came in?
No, the letter was separate. Inside of those, you find one of them has a map of Barovia that's somehow magically intact thanks to a really lucky roll. And you find let me just roll real quick. Sorry. You find two spell scrolls, one of which is burnt up, but the other one you find. And yeah, you have
Do you
a
know what the spell is?
make a Arcana check.
Arcana.
Arcana.
Skill check.
I could probably assist you as well.
Sure, we'll let the assist so you have advantage. Okay, so you believe it is a remove curse spell.
Oh. Interesting.
How convenient.
With spell scrolls like this, because this intricacies of D&D, with spell scrolls like this, is it like, oh, I can just use this whenever I want?
So you can use the spell scroll as a consumable and it will work once. Or as a wizard, you could use up the spell scroll and copy it into your spell book and use it forever. Like if you were prepare the spell and stuff. But it will cost you, I'll have to look up the formula. It's 50 gold per spell level, plus like 2 hours or something per spell. I'll have to look up the exact
Can
rules.
wizards learn remove curse? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Wizards can't learn everything.
Yeah, I know. Let me double
Things
check.
are only divine.
I really wish I could learn spells like that.
Well, you get your whole list.
Yeah, I know.
Cool.
It doesn't have cure curses though, does it yet?
Remove, and I don't think you can learn it just yet either. I think it's a third level. Yeah.
Yeah, it's their level, I think.
Yeah, wizard can learn it. Clerics can. Clerics can prepare it too.
Yeah, but I need to have a level 3 spell slot first.
One more level, I think. You're so close.
Well, considering I took a level in Ranger,
No.
Don't worry, guys, I got it.
I'll need 2 more levels. Because it's every half level, I think, with Ranger you get your spell slots, and then I'd have to put another level in Cleric.
Is everyone cool with going to 11 tonight? By the way.
Yeah.
That's 8. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, cool. So I'll just keep it in my back pocket and wait till I get a level.
Alrighty. So yeah, that's pretty much all that you find.
Do you tell us that you found the scroll, by the way?
Oh yeah. Scroll remove
Perhaps-
curse.
Perhaps he found this and thinks that he could remove whatever curse is placed upon you.
He responds with, "Did she really think I wouldn't have tried this already?
You said she was stupid.
She
I think he said naive.
doesn't understand the nature of Vistani curses. Ironic, really, given her background, but they do not go away so easily. not this type of ancient magic. There's only one way to rid myself of a curse like this, and that type of magic is far beyond anyone in this realm or any other nearby.
So you're saying you need a wish?
Pretty much, yeah.
That is very unfortunate. Well, if there's nothing else around here, what's the plan?
Oh, I don't know. I could use a little bit of time to patch up these fresh burn marks.
I
Yeah.
think the idea
Well-
was to go to the winery after this. Yeah.
Didn't you go through the healing spear like everyone else?
Actually, I did. I forgot about that.
Yeah, probably go to the winery next.
All right.
And if you want to avoid this pupil of yours, are you coming with us?
No, I have some research I must attend to, but I will meet up with you in the city of Vallaki within a day. I'll stay there for a while in case you don't show up.
Where?
But-
Sorry, you cut out.
The city of Vallaki.
Lucky.
Okay.
He's like, I'll stay in there. I'll be hidden as my normal guys, Octavio. I will check on the inn, see how the Martikovs are doing while you all investigate this winery, these prophecies. I have some research I must do. If you do run into her, take good care of her, but say nothing of me.
Octavio, I do ask of you,
Yes.
if you could check the remains of the burnt house, if you could find what seems to be any ancient remains, if you could return that to the church. I know it's a long shot, but it'll keep the children there safe.
I will do what I can on that matter. And he will just sort of make his way across the land bridge, and he will put on his disguise once again of this half-elven man. As he puts on his hat, it seems like his disguise takes shape, and he hops into the he doesn't take the wagon. He'll leave it for you all, but he will take one of the horses and ride with it.
The wagon is still intact even after that explosion?
No, not that wagon. There's another wagon.
Okay, I was about to say, like, that's one sturdy fucking wagon.
Almost killed all of us, but that wagon's still standing.
TPK.
All right, and I'm actually going to move you all to the map now that you have a map.
Are you
Hey.
sure you don't want to give us a silver weapon, Perry? I mean,
I gave
like,
you
I
a
don't know,
s- I
silver
gave you a silver
bolts?
blunt weapon, or
Surely-
Spoiler, it was actually silver bolts. It was actually
It was-
silver.
I figured it would have been silver bolts.
It
I
was
would've been
silver
so
bolts.
happy.
Yep.
Aw.
Nope. They got nuked into the ground. All right. So here's the map, and can everyone see that first of all?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just gonna mark some things since this is your first time seeing Barovia from a map. This was the city of Vallaki. Does everyone see that square?
It was.
Well, that's where you were, and this is where you are right now, over on this lake over here. And to get to the winery, you're not that far away. It's sort of down this road, not far down that road. So you're not really that far away. It's basically like,
that place.
yep, it's that place.
Okay. That's cool.
And the evil tree is here.
Oh, so it's really close. Cool. We're gonna go find an evil tree. Something else I could set fire to.
Yes. All right. So, is there anything y'all want to do before you set off for this place?
Cry. I'll rewind time to make that wagon not explode. There's
so
lots of things I want to do, but that's not possible.
So no, I don't think I should do that. I'm like, should I use my divine thing to get a spell back? But I think I'll just go with 2 spells down.
Okay.
I need my divine channel, or channel divine.
Okay. All right. Well.
Because apparently there's a lich running around here somewhere.
All right. So you all set off. Everyone is with you. Well, minus Rictavio, or Van Richten, actually, Rudolph Van Richten. You begin making your way. Do you want to take the wagon with you? Do you leave it? What do you want to do with the wagon? Do you want to keep the wagon
Might
for
as
now?
well.
Okay. You keep the wagon with you. Everyone gets in the back. Who wants to drive?
Boy, howdy, am I the best driver there is?
Oh God, no.
All right, best driving.
I
But-
don't think I have land vehicles, but let me just make sure.
I'm pretty sure I don't.
It's fine, jack of all
Oh,
trades.
I do have vehicles land. Look at that.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so yeah, or you could best.
I look at best.
What do you do as Best sort of jumps in the driver's seat, or after you're like?
First, I want to see if he's doing it correctly.
Okay, Best, make a roll.
He's gonna roll a fucking 20.
I'll say I don't know. I don't even fucking know. Do just a dex roll, but you can add half your proficiency since you're a jack of all trades.
A dex roll.
Yes.
Half the proficiency. I got this, baby.
Yes.
Bada bing, bada boom. Let's go.
Oh my god! What? What?
Driver?
What the fuck?
So what Aura thinks is like, wow, he's really good. Maybe I'll just let him do the whole trip. That's fine, and I go in the back.
Meanwhile, it's actually just dumb luck. Like he's just like, yeah, whatever, I can do this shit. I do this all day. He's never actually done it before, but he's like somehow doing it just fine.
Well,
Oh my
you know, as a
god.
traveling man, you know, going from tavern to tavern.
Oh my fucking god.
Casper just sighs in the back.
Oh my god.
I
Alright.
knew it.
Welcome to my rolls. I get natural 20s on shit that doesn't matter.
Alright.
Tell me about it.
So you guys begin making your way down the road through the forest, over the hills, blah, blah, whatever. And eventually you reach an intersection at the road. And you know that you have to go down a certain... you know the exact way you have to go since you have a map. You see that there's a signpost with 3 arms that point along 3 branches of the road. There's an arm pointing to the north that reads Krezk, Krezk. And then through the woods, you can see an arching stone bridge spanning a river. The arm pointing east reads Vallaki, which is where you came from. And the road slopes gradually in that direction. And then the arm pointing to the southwest reads the Wizard of the Wines. And the road slopes gently downward in that direction.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Wines.
Yes.
Wonderful wizard.
Lilia would have liked this place.
No, no.
Lilia actually got a quest to go to this place. Yes. So, you assume you go down that way. As you approach, after about a half mile, the road becomes a muddy trail that meanders through the woods, descending gradually until the trees part, revealing a mist-shrouded meadow. The trail splits. One branch heads west into the valley, while the other leads south into dark woods. A wooden signpost at the intersection points west and reads Vineyard. Which way do you go?
Well, it'd be nice to get some information on the area first, shall we? See if we can find the owners of this place first.
Okay.
Good. Let's get some more information.
So you would head towards the vineyard to the west?
Yeah.
Okay. As you head west, a light drizzle begins to fall, and unpainted fences blindly follow the trail, which skirts north of a sprawling vineyard before bending south towards a stately-looking building. The fog takes on ghostly forms as it swirls between the neatly tended rows of grapevines. Here and there you see rope-handled half-barrels used for hauling grapes. North of the trail is a large stand of trees, and a man wearing a dark cloak and cowl stands at the edge of the trees. He beckons you towards him. Oh, you
Rocks
can't
can't hear anything.
you can't hear me or anything.
Rocks can't.
Now I can.
Oh, all right. Well, you see that you see a man off in the like near the trees wearing a dark cloak and a cowl, and he seems to beckon you over, like so you can come here.
Dark cow. Awesome. Okay. Well, can't go wrong, right?
Best, what do you see?
See, I assume.
Yeah, you see it. You see him.
Yeah, I assumed like they also saw it, but I'm gonna tell them like
I mean,
what I see.
Some of us are in the wagon, so
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah, I just assumed that for whatever reason there was like a little slit there that you could see through. But yeah, I'll tell them like what I see.
Rox is having some troubles right now.
Can you just leave? Oh, I can't. I guess you can't hear me.
She just disconnected from the call.
I think about Discord like entirely not letting her hear things.
Yeah, I'm just telling her to leave and come back in Discord.
You turn it off and turn it back on.
Yes.
I'll tell them about the good old man right there. Well, I'm assuming old man. The dude with the fucking clothes and the cowl and all that stuff. Beckoning us over.
I mean, I don't mind.
Well, regardless, just, I don't know, be wary, I guess, but in case it's Strahd. Wouldn't be the first time there's bandits.
All right. So you guys head over towards the beckoning figure. Is there anything you'd like to do, or anything as you approach?
Can I make like a
As we get close, I will like
area?
look front and then use my divine sense to see if he is undead or anything like that.
About to do the same.
All right, everyone, make perception or make a perception check, best, and your divine sense does not reveal him to be undead or anything like that. Okay.
There's that.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
You with that roll, you see that the man is not by himself. That there are other people there with him. You don't see anything dangerous or odd, but it's not just that man. Like you see a couple of other people, sort of like in the woods near him.
I'll let him know that there are others and that they don't seem to be like a threat. At least like I myself don't see anything.
I mean, it's always sketchy when there's a bunch of people hiding in the forest, but like you don't see any traps or anything like crazy.
Yeah, I'm just letting them know.
Okay.
Well, I can hear for now, so.
Okay.
So what happened?
Old man beckons us over. There's more than just him though, but they
Yeah.
don't look to be hostile to him.
And Oreth got decapitated.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate.
Rest in peace.
Rest in pieces.
Did
My
Bess
head was-
take his
my-
head?
My head was my head was just like a little too high up, and we just ran across like a blade in the middle of the road. It was crazy. I was just tall, and it just
It almost got me too.
We don't even know what it was attached to. It was just.
it was just there. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully this time I'm not the
None of that happened, Rox. It's fine.
I can
Wait, it didn't.
almost
Shit,
beat
I was
And
writing
then-
that down.
And then
the only person alive.
Best put the decapitated head he had on top of my body, and then came to life. It was
Oh my god. All right, what are you guys doing? Jesus.
Richard makes it.
my god.
Pull
We're
out my
approaching.
gun and I shoot
You're
the
approaching?
person
Okay.
in front of us.
When you approach, you see that the other people with him emerge out from behind the trees, and they all sort of greet you. They wear dark leather rain cloaks and cowls. The man that sort of beckoned you over is old and kind of suspicious looking, actually. He looks kind of like this. Just gonna go ahead and
I mean, you're right. He does look pretty. It's just
yeah.
He to look when he's older.
He looks at you and he says, "You best be careful if." He says, "You best be careful if you're headed to the winery." I should do an older man voice. You best be careful if you're headed to the winery.
Why?
Why was what to do with a winery?
He says, "That used to be my family's winery. We produced wine for the whole valley here, but it's been infested of late. Evil druids and these creatures known as blights have attacked the winery, and we've been forced to hide out here in the woods."
Blights? Oh, that sounds bad. Could we possibly do a knowledge check on what those are?
Yeah, make Arcana checks.
They're arcana.
I will let anyone. Okay, Arcana or Nature,
Arcana is definitely my
or whatever type of roll.
I can't roll above a fucking 5 tonight.
Oh my
Wait,
goodness
let the
gracious!
Arcana boy Arcana check. Wait, where's our tokens?
Look, I'll show you how it's done. This is how you.
Just do it. Just do it from your character sheet, or just roll d20 and add it, or whatever. I don't know.
Oh yeah, there you go. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Where the fuck? Did I accidentally close out?
Problem.
Oh, there we are.
So I rolled a 7.
This is.
I wasn't expecting much.
Oh my goodness gracious!
16.
All right, 16. With that, you're the only one that knows jack shit about these things, basically. One sec. Where the hell are they? Hold up.
Even the DM doesn't know what these things are. We're screwed.
Hold on.
Goodbye.
Oh, there it is. It was under that. Okay. So you've heard of creatures known as blights. They basically look like Groot. Imagine an evil Groot that's spiky. Yes. They don't talk though. But they entangle their foes and sort of hinder them and constrict them and whatnot to deal damage, and can sort of pull you into the ground and pull you down and sort of suffocate you and stuff.
Fun.
Yep.
I relay that info.
And druids, you all know what druids are. You have a druid with you. Yeah. He says to you all, if you could rid us of these invaders, I and my entire family, perhaps even the entire valley, would be very grateful. You look quite powerful, as he sort of scans you all.
Well, definitely fits the description of an evil tree. I'd say that this is definitely something that at least we should look into.
Evil tree. You talk of the Golthias tree to the south, atop the hill. We don't dare go there. It sits atop a hill of graves.
Why don't you ever go there? Just because you're surrounded by graves?
Have you seen the tree?
No.
We have not.
The tree is larger than any tree, and it is black like the night. Sap pours from it, but not normal sap. It's blood that pours from that tree. There's ancient magic keeping that thing going, and I dare not be cursed by such a thing.
So, wasn't that basically what Lilia saw in her dreams?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Inspiration for remembering plot points.
Yay! I did it.
Yes.
So proud.
I'd roll on that one and use it immediately.
I mean, I would be happy to help with this. We might need to use the vineyard or the winery as temporary shelter before we continue on our way, if we do clear it.
He sort of looks surprised, not expecting you to actually say yes. He says,
You're really dumb.
"Very well. There's one other matter that I should tell you before you leave. The vineyard, you see, the land in Barovia, it's not suitable for growing much of anything, really. Root vegetables are doable sometimes, but in order to power our vineyard, we have these magical seeds, if you will, about this big." And he sort of puts his hand into a fist. He says, "It's about this big. Each one grows green light as bright as a torch." He says, "We used to have 3 of them. 2 of them, one of them I believe is somewhere at that hill. The Druids took it there. The other one is in an area called Berez, to the southeast. I would not quite go there until you're prepared. It's a swamp and very treacherous. The 3rd gem, I have no idea what happened to, but you may want to, if you could investigate the winery itself first. There are some druids that have taken hold of it there right now. Then perhaps head towards the hill. My family would appreciate being able to enter our home once again."
That seems reasonable.
There may even be clues in there about the druids. I don't know much about them. Perhaps you could learn more.
I was going to say, if we are able to help with this situation, we might learn some information before we head to the tree itself.
Sounds good to me.
All right. And the people around him do look like his family. There's some children here, and looks like some of his probably sons and daughters. But they don't seem like dangerous at all to you. From their looks, it just looks like a family of people. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. So do you make your way then to the winery? Towards it.
Sure.
Alrighty. Let me move your dudes.
I could scout ahead.
Oh, you
as a
could.
Raven.
Would you like to do that? Alright.
I leave it up to the party if they would like me.
I want to see it.
As long as you're safe.
Sounds cool as fuck.
Alrighty. I will put you there for now and move.
What?
you
6 vampires fall out of the sky above you?
You know, you do it once to a player, and people think there's 6
And that player
vampires
never
everywhere.
forgets it.
I mean, to be fair, we're never gonna forget the time Rox almost TPK'd us this session, so.
Yeah, anytime we
One-
come up to a carriage now.
She's always been.
Rooms,
away
carriages.
From a TPK.
I have a good dexterity. It was
So
a
do I.
dexterity roll.
You shit against the goddamn vampires now, did it?
One hit point away from a TPK, baby.
All right, we'll say you're sort of flying above this winery, Lilia, and as you sort of fly around, you see that there is a stable nearby, and you do hear like horses in the stable. You see that directly in front of you appears to be parked in a loading dock is a wagon with 3 barrels set in braces on the bed. There's a raised wooden walkway that runs along the west, south, and east walls. And through a hole in the ceiling, you see a wooden arm of a loading crane with ropes and hooks dangling from it, probably for them to lower barrels into the wagon from up above. I think that's all you see, like in terms of the house. You see that there's a back door entrance, and you also see that there's a there's a well that with moss-covered stones to the side, as well as an outhouse that, when you sort of fly around it, has some sweet-smelling herbs hanging from the wooden outhouse, and there's a small crescent moon carved into the door of the house. You also see, one sec. Sorry, just making sure I get this right. Oh my goodness. So you see out in the vine fields, I'd like you to make a perception check for me. As a bird, so whatever. I think you keep your perception. Actually, I don't.
I think you get advantage as well if it's sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Who's our raven buddy, by the way?
Guy
Roll over 5 tonight.
should have given her guidance, apparently.
Yes. So
Only
you.
lasted a minute.
I know. It would have been right, though.
Yes. You do find that there are other ravens around here, but you don't notice anything too out of the ordinary other than that right now. Is there anything you'd like to inspect specifically as you fly around this winery, this house?
Do I hear like any movement?
Outside, no. There are several windows that you could sort of peek into and see if you can see anything, perhaps.
I will do that.
All right. You sort of look around the bottom floor, and the only window you can see from the back seems to be some sort of workshop of some kind, but no one's really in there. You look in one window, and it appears to be a stairwell of some kind, but no one is in there. You fly up towards the second floor to see if you can see anything in any of those windows, and you do. You actually do see someone covered in stereotypical druid natural clothing, and they're carrying a staff with them as well, and you see that she is standing above a vat of some kind, and from those windows you see not much else from that vantage point. You go around to the east side and you see another druid wandering in that room, and you see one more in a third room on the second floor, along with two Groot-looking creatures. So you basically count that on the second floor there are 3 druids and 2 of these Groot-looking things.
Can I tell at all what's happening with the vat since I'm a druid? Like, would I recognize it at all?
It looks like she's stirring the vat with her staff.
Okay. And they're not talking, I don't hear anything?
They're not talking right now, no. They all seem to be like in separate rooms, so they can't really communicate. They're in different rooms.
Okay.
The one in the bed-looking room seems to just be rummaging through things. The one near the loading area is sort of on the second floor of the loading area. Seems to be just trying to figure out how to work the damn thing. And the one in the vat room is like stirring the vat.
Okay.
Let me just check one more thing. I'd like you to make one more perception check as you look in there. Oh, thank goodness. All right. You notice that one of the druids, the one in the room with the two Groot-looking dudes, you notice that her staff it doesn't look like a normal staff. It's completely black and almost has like a smoky textural thing coming out of the top of it.
You hear from the distance, "Is it made of silver?"
It is not.
It'd be great if it was.
Off in the
Okay.
distance, you just see a crow carrying one silver sword.
Okay. I will head back and relay everything that I saw.
All right. Eventually,
Buddy, the whole time.
Oleana the Raven returns, and she explains everything that I just explained or described.
Where's our Raven buddy?
He's still there.
Only petting him while we were.
All right.
Oleana forgets to change back initially, and she's just calling at them, and then she's like, "Oh wait."
I hate to break it to you, but none of the rest of us speak Crow.
Just land on my shoulder and caw at me. I'm like, what the fuck do you want?
Oh, I wouldn't land on your shoulder.
Ooh.
No offense, but you lick the decapitated head. I still think you're kind of weird.
I feel like that's fair.
There's nothing wrong with licking a decapitated head.
There's so many things wrong with that.
Absolutely nothing.
Alright, yeah, I relay what I saw. So we know there's at least that many.
Nothing's ever easy, is it? Shall we go with the assumption we're not going to light the place on fire this time?
It seemed to work so well
You
for us
normally
last time.
light places on fire?
Caspin kind of glances over at Ormond.
Well, you see, what had happened was
I turn to our Raven friend and I'm like, these are strange people.
Oh, sorry. One other detail that you would have noticed. The stairwell not only goes up to the second floor, it spirals down, leading you to believe that there is a basement that you didn't quite get to explore as a Raven.
Oh, good, because we have a good experience with basements too.
Yeah. Just so you know.
7 vampires.
So there's three floors that you think of so far, at the very least.
2, copper pieces.
All right. So what is our plan?
We have a plan.
So how many in total was there?
At least 3 druids, 2 blights.
You would know best. What kind of abilities would druids have?
Do you like fighting bears?
Not particularly, but if I have to.
Druids can do many things.
Hey, baby, yes, hi.
You're talking to the Raven again, I see.
Yes, the raven. Hello, baby.
Oh my goodness.
Thought about the cat initially, but sure.
Is there any way we could separate them? Because I don't think fighting all 3 at once would be very good.
Agreed.
Can we lure one out?
How?
Casper just
They're all,
shrugs at that.
they're all inside.
All we have to do is go inside. And then touch the button. And then get up.
Did he just say
Potential.
get it? Sorry, I need to ask. Did he just say get inside, touch their butts, and then get out?
Yes.
That
what I
does
thought
sound
he
like
said.
an egg thing to say. So yeah.
Potentially, we could try to do a bit of a.
So how
But
far apart were the druids that I saw?
They were each in separate rooms, but none of them were more than separate rooms separated by doors and whatnot. But it didn't seem like the whole building is only 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 feet across and maybe
I think
80 feet long. So I mean they could they could navigate a whole floor in a turn. Basically, it's not huge.
it would be risky, but we could try to do a type of lure where we just have an individual pop in, cause a bit of a ruckus, and run out. They probably wouldn't assume they need all 3 of them to take care of it. Maybe just send 1 or 2 of them after.
That seems like a big assumption.
And if that is the case, if they all do follow, then they don't have advantage, I suppose, in the house.
I am really good at making a lot of noise and a lot of distractions.
And also annoying people. We'd probably get all of them to come out at the same time.
Exactly. I'd be like, "What's up, bitches? How do you guys do? What's going on up in here?" And then they probably want me out immediately without me even having to actually
Unless anyone
that.
else. But if anyone else has a suggestion, I would be open to it as well.
I think going the stealthy approach till we can't is usually the most stable choice. But
Typically.
I'm not
I
one
think in this
who's
situation,
very
there's
stealthy.
no. Yeah, I just don't think in this situation we're going to be able to draw anybody out. I think it's going to be something where we need to be prepared to go in and fuck shit up. Druids are very versatile, so you don't know what they're going to be doing. They could shape, they could spell cast, they could heal.
Are we looking to fight these people then? Head on.
Is there any other option?
Because if we go in there sneakily and we
I
get caught, the odds are
could
not in our
try to
favor.
I could try to talk to them.
Talking is always a good idea. when you were scouting, did they look like they would be hostile towards anything that moves?
You would know that these types of druids are
You cut out, Barry.
yeah, I know. I'm just thinking. You would know that these types of druids are not exactly uh, personable. They're kind of wild. You're not sure. You don't think. You don't think they're like very friendly.
Got it. Then never mind.
Yep. And you would know, being a druid who's been in this place for a long ass time. You'd be like, yeah, those dudes are fucked up.
Are they so fucked up they forgot how to wild shape?
Are they so wild they're not wild anymore?
Exactly.
Are they so
Cane
wild
shape.
that they're only animals?
Unclear.
Sources say very likely no.
Well, fuckity D. There goes that whole idea of talking to them.
As I said, and as Best has said, if we try to go the stealth approach and we get caught, the situation would be very grim.
What if we set a fire trap outside of the house?
Does it have to be fire?
One man's traumatized with fire.
Well, the blights look like they would be weak to fire.
Man, if only we disarmed that trap, we would still have that explosion, huh?
I prefer if we keep the building intact.
So I said outside the house.
If that's the case, I would like to see if we could try to see if just one person causing a ruckus would be best. And see if they could just lure out one or two. If they all come, but at least they'll be outside.
Who wants to be bait?
Points to the tank.
He can. So the plan is, Kamed carries me on his shoulders while I play music and grab all the attention, and we die. But I mean, in order to get attention, we don't really need someone personable, just someone to grab, make a lot of noise, or just cause a ruckus. So I don't know, maybe you could start like beating on their door and not leave room if they tell you to or something.
I mean,
Is there
I'm
any
following
traps?
the distraction route, but I think the stealth would probably be the better option because at least we're not putting two people in a vulnerable situation. We'll all be there. Last thing we should do is split the group.
I'm more leaning towards the stealth approach myself.
If that's what you think, I'm not going to be quiet. I hope you know as I point at my armor.
I can make you smaller though.
You could,
Make
but
it
then
tiny.
See, look, I can make you smaller, and I'll just put you in my pocket, big boy.
I don't think you make me that small.
No,
Maybe,
definitely
probably Sarah's height.
not. Yeah, probably. But imagine Cyril becoming even smaller.
Never use that spell on me ever.
And just make grabby hands towards him.
I pull out my crossbow.
What about if I make you big?
see much advantage in that. I'm not going to get close enough to be of use with that.
Fair enough.
Well, just try
But
to be
as
very quiet.
Bess did say, if we are caught in the house stealthing, there's no escape. We have to fight.
All right, and that's where we'll stop for tonight.
Cool.
Yay!
We're
all gonna
officially
die.
discussing plans for the week.
We're all gonna die.
You guys can flesh out your plan over the next week. Speaking of next week, it is Christmas week.
It is.
Yay!
Off, so I don't care.
So are you guys good still for the 23rd, or like I don't care. I don't have anything going on, but
23rd's okay by me.
okay.
I don't know about everyone else.
I should be okay.
We'll have a special Christmas edition.
What's
that loud?
Canadian Christmas like?
Well, there's a lot more maple syrup.
We're not actually gonna continue this current situation. Probably, maybe. We'll do a Christmas themed Curse of Strahd.
Oh my god.
So
Punches lightly again.
Where Caspian has to learn the true meaning of Christmas.
yes. So
I picked up Curse of Strahd on Roll20, and I was reading through it.
don't spoil anything, Lavina.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm just like, is this made for optimized characters? My goodness.
No, good luck.
If you don't have any radiant, it's a little brutal.
Or silver weapons.
You guys
Dude,
are
I
so
gave
lucky,
you a
at
silver
least-
blunt weapon. What are you talking about?
If you guys did
I
not
could
have
do
command,
one
you know how-
damage.
you know how screwed you guys would be if you didn't
Thanks
have
for the
command?
game.
Excuse me, I am a cleric of the grave. I have several radiant abilities that I have to keep using for healing instead.
Can you heal
I-
undead and do damage to them?
I
I'll
actually,
try.
I do pretty good radiant damage now too.
All right.
So basically, command is your savior, I suppose. There you go.
I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll be back next time with some form of Christmas thing going on.
Because there's some Christmas in everything. Even in Strahd, you can find the littlest joys.
Oh, I'm sure it's gonna be.
You're gonna teach.
It's gonna be wonderful.
You should do.
See you guys.
teach
And there's
Strahd-
that.